Yo, welcome to the video. Today I am filming my 1 year review, I guess you could call it, of my Santa Cruz Megatower. I was flipping through some photos on my phone the other day and realized I just came up to 1 year of ownership with my Megatower. So figured it would be a good time to kind of give you guys that recap of what I think after 1 year of ownership. Since we're grinding out this climb right now, I guess we could start with that. For 160 millimeters of rear travel on this bike, this thing climbs great. And what I mean by climbs great is, for a longer travel bike, it's good for sitting in the saddle. I'm not going to say it climbs like a goat or climbs just as well as the shorter travel bikes out there, but for such a big bike that isn't super light, it gets the job done. It's not grueling to be in the saddle for, you know, over an hour, maybe do like a couple thousand feet of vert. But yeah, it's good. It's not the best, but it gets it done. And the only thing I'd really have to say that I would complain about with climbing on this bike is I do wish the C-tube angle was a little steeper, but maybe on the next iteration of the Megatower, the C-tube angle will be a little steeper. I'll go ahead and leave that number, what it is right now, on the screen. I'm sure all you guys know that are maybe looking or shopping for a bike know that C-tube angle isn't the steepest compared to some others, so it's not the most optimal seating position, but like I said before, it works well. I was able to really progress this summer on my technical climbing with this bike. I'll go ahead and insert a couple clips right now that I got over the summer. These were pretty big milestones for me, doing these little climbs, climbing over these little trail obstacles. But and if you guys like those little clips, you can go follow me on Instagram at loamtroopers_MTB. I post more clips like that regularly than I post on YouTube. So if you like those, go follow me over there. Sometimes I post them on my personal too, at Dylan_Algor. Go check those out. Follow me if you want a little more daily content of riding. And to give you guys a little more perspective on how I fitted this bike to myself is, I'm 6 foot, 240 pounds, and I'm riding a size large. I have made some alterations to this bike, did some upgrades. I did bump up the front fork to 170 millimeters. It was originally at 160, so a little bit of geometry change there, but nothing to run home about. Honestly, didn't notice too much of a difference. I am riding in the low setting and short chainstay, a little more on the playful side in my opinion, which I have played around with the longer chainstay setting and the high bottom bracket setting. I felt like the high bottom bracket, I couldn't really justify that feeling and being a little higher off the ground for instead of being in the lower setting. I feel like the lower setting has a little bit better pop to it to get off the ground and a little more stability. And the long chainstay feels a little bit better pedaling, but not a good enough feeling to constantly ride in that position. I'd rather be able to manual a little better, pop off the ground a little better, and I feel like the bike overall corners a little tighter in the shorter chainstay position. So those are my settings. I'm running a 44 millimeter offset on my fork, which is really nice. I am riding the carbon reserve wheels laced to the i9 Hydra hub, which I really enjoy and highly recommend. I'll leave a little link to that video up in the top right hand corner if you guys want to learn more about the Santa Cruz Reserve and Hydra hubs. And also, if you're new to this channel, then welcome. My name is Dylan, and if you're a little confused on some of the things I'm talking about with my Megatower, maybe go back to this video that I'm going to leave in the top right hand corner. That is some of my first videos on Santa Cruz Megatower, why I bought it, my initial thoughts, and the reason I'm on it today. So, but if not, just sit back and enjoy. Another thing I forgot to mention is I am riding the RockShox Super Deluxe Ultimate Coil out back, which in my opinion makes a huge difference on this bike. And really, in my opinion, for pedaling, because I'm riding a 600-pound coil, which is very stiff, but pedaling with it, I think, is a game changer because it makes this platform very rigid, and really carry good energy while pedaling. I don't get a lot of bobbing, still get really good traction without being overly stiff. I rarely use the lockout switch on the shock, so if you are looking at a Megatower, I do highly recommend trying out a coil on it, because I do think with the whole kinematics of the linkage, coil shock really complements the linear suspension curve that this frame gives. Definitely something worth checking out. And I know I'm riding the Fox 38 up front, mixed suspension with the RockShox out back. Yuck. Haven't had any reason to change this rear coil, honestly. I think the Super Deluxe Ultimate performs really well, and the Fox 38 has been nothing but positive feedback. I think for bigger guys like myself, 38 is a game changer. If you guys want to check out a video on that, link that in the top right hand corner also. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out on the climbing. I think most of you guys aren't too interested on the climbing anyways. The bike climbs well. If you have any other questions that I forgot to mention, leave them down in the comments below. Typically always answer, so get after it. Dropping in for the descent. So many rides in on this trail on the Megatower. I figured it would be good to come back to the good old testing trail and give you guys my opinion. Something that I really like about this bike is how responsive it is and energetic on these little bit more, you know, moderate trails. Most of the trails I'm riding locally every day aren't super aggressive. They do have a lot of features. They're definitely by no means cross-country trails, but nothing huge. Honestly, nothing that warrants 160 millimeters of travel every day. Even though this bike has it, it does still feel very lively and nimble and agile through all this stuff, which I know is one big complaint with some of the larger travel bikes. They are very deadening to the not so aggressive terrains. But with that being said, this bike really does thrive in the more aggressive EWS style trails or at the bike park. Definitely likes hopping off little drops and such like that. Nice rock garden right here. Definitely thrives through the rocks, as you'll see. Very composed, eats everything right up, but doesn't feel like a downhill bike at the same time, which is good in my opinion. For a daily driver, unless it's at a bike park, you really don't want something that's as plush as a downhill bike. Things will just get a little easy. This setup is definitely one that you can always push your limits with and get out of your comfort zone, but still keep you on your toes when you least expect it, so it is still playful. This bike also corners extremely well for how long the wheelbase is. I think that does have something to do with the little bit steeper head tube angle that it has. Go ahead and leave that number down on the screen. I have found that compared to some of the other longer travel bikes like the Specialized Enduro, this thing is a little more responsive in these flatter corners and at slower speeds, which I think is a good quality in a daily driver bike, unless you're riding gnarly stuff every day. Also, a little side note that I forgot to mention is I am completely filming this video on the GoPro Hero 9, well, all the POV footage at least. So if you guys enjoy the footage, let me know down below. I'm a little on the fence if whether or not I'm going to go back to my Hero 7 stabilized with the gimbal, or if I'm just going to rock this. I must say this is much more comfortable, but if the footage quality lacks, then may have to go back to the Hero 7. Hopefully this looks okay though. Hopefully it's not rendered unwatchable for you guys. You know, some of you guys are really picky about how you like to see the footage. If you guys are enjoying this video, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss any of my other videos further down the line. Greatly appreciate it. And I guess now is a good little point for me to talk about the small bump compliance with this bike. For me, running this coil out back really makes the small bump compliance not as soft as maybe it would be with an air shock, which is okay for me because I'd much rather have the playful, more poppy platform that I get with this coil shock than the more little bit saggier feeling I feel like I get with an air shock. Something to note there, this isn't the most plush bike I've ever ridden, but it does take the big hits really well and does soak up a lot of those bigger bumps very nicely. This bike also has really good pop off of jumps for a long travel bike running a coil shock. It's very playful, real easy to get up off the ground. Not as poppy as some platforms, but compared to the prior BPP platform, I feel like this is very playful and poppy while still being supple when you need it to. Overall, I would say this bike is perfect for someone who's kind of doing it all. Maybe they want an all around one quiver ride that's good for taking out to the bike park, but can also still smash a long ride with. Maybe you're gonna do some EWS races and really push your limits. But that being said, I think you also have to get really honest with yourself when buying a bike with this much travel. Do you really need it? Are the trails you're riding 80 to 70% of the time really gonna need all this travel? Because these bikes are so good nowadays. It's a lot of bike for the average trails. So, just something to think about. If you're a bigger guy, then I think this bike is perfect all around one bike quiver, especially if you're just learning. Really gives you the room to adapt and grow with your riding skills. Still playful, but can still go ride it on those gnarly, more technical sections of the bike park. Overall, I really have no regrets having this bike the past year. There has been some more mellow trails that are a little more XC oriented that I wish I had a bike with a little less travel, maybe pedaled a little more efficiently, a bit more playful, but at the end of the day, I could still leave that trail and go ride a gnarlier one and really use up all this suspension. So something to keep in mind. Honestly, all these longer travel bikes these days, they're so efficient and climb so well. Pretty playful manual right there. So I hope that was some good info for you guys. Like I said before, I'll link that video up in the corner again. If you want a little more information on my thoughts on the Megatower, go check out this video. It's a little longer, but I think it gives a little more detail. And if you liked it, smash that thumbs up, hit the subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.